A 6-year-old girl finds her grandmother unconscious on the kitchen floor. No adults home. Phone in her trembling hands. The 911 operator asks questions she doesn't understand. But there's someone else in that room, a black and white Border Collie named Scout, and what happens in the next 4 minutes will prove that some heroes walk on 4 legs. This is the story of how a dog's intelligence and a child's courage saved a life when every second counted. If you love stories about incredible animals and brave kids, hit that like button and subscribe, because what you're about to hear will restore your faith in the bond between humans and their 4-legged companions. Emma Rodriguez was doing what most 6-year-olds do on a Tuesday afternoon in suburban Portland, Oregon, playing with her Border Collie in the backyard. The October sun filtered through the maple trees, casting dancing shadows across the grass. Scout, their 3-year-old rescue dog, darted back and forth, his intelligent eyes tracking Emma's every movement. Inside the modest 2-story home, 72-year-old Patricia Rodriguez was preparing after-school snacks. Emma's parents both worked until 5, her father at an accounting firm downtown, her mother at the elementary school across town. 3 days a week, Grandma Pat stayed with Emma, a routine they'd established when Emma was just a baby. Everything was normal. Everything was fine, until it wasn't. Scout stopped mid-play, his body suddenly rigid, his ears perked forward. Emma noticed immediately. She'd grown up with this dog, and she knew his signals better than most adults could read body language. "What is it, boy?" she asked, her small voice carrying across the yard. The Border Collie bolted toward the back door, barking frantically. Not his playful bark, not his "I see a squirrel" bark. This was different, urgent, desperate. Emma ran after him, her heart already beginning to race with that childhood instinct that something was wrong. She pulled open the sliding glass door, and Scout shot through like a black and white lightning bolt, his nails scratching against the hardwood floor as he raced toward the kitchen. Then Emma saw her. Grandma Pat was lying on the kitchen floor, one arm stretched out toward the counter, her body motionless. A wooden spoon lay inches from her hand. The smell of cinnamon from the snickerdoodle cookies she'd been making hung in the air, a cruel contrast to the scene before them. "Grandma!" Emma's voice cracked as she dropped to her knees beside her grandmother. Scout was already there, his nose nudging Patricia's face, whining softly. "Grandma, wake up! Please wake up!" Patricia's eyes were closed. Her breathing was shallow, almost imperceptible. Emma shook her grandmother's shoulder gently, then harder. Nothing. Panic rose in her chest like a wave threatening to drown her. But here's the twist. Emma had been trained for this exact moment, though she'd hoped she'd never need it. 3 months earlier, her elementary school had hosted a safety day where a firefighter taught the kindergartners how to call 911. Emma had paid attention because Scout had been restless that whole week, as if he'd known something she didn't. She'd practiced with her toy phone at home, making her parents smile at her seriousness. Now, with tears streaming down her face, Emma scrambled to her feet and grabbed the cordless phone from its cradle on the counter. Her hands shook so badly she almost dropped it. Scout stood beside her, his body pressed against her leg, solid and warm. She dialed 911. 1 ring, 2 rings. Emma's breath came in short gasps. Scout's tail pressed against her, his presence somehow calming the hurricane inside her chest. 911, what's your emergency? The operator's voice was calm, professional. Emma tried to speak, but the words came out as a sob. My grandma, she won't wake up. Okay, sweetheart, I need you to take a deep breath for me. Can you do that? You're doing great. What's your name? Emma Rodriguez. Her voice steadied slightly, muscle memory from practicing her full name taking over. Emma, that's a beautiful name. How old are you? 6. I'm 6.5. 6.5 is very grown up. Emma, you're being so brave right now. Can you tell me what happened to your grandma? I don't know. She's on the floor and she won't wake up, and her eyes are closed, and... The words tumbled out in a rush. Scout barked once, sharp and commanding. Emma looked down at him, and something in his steady gaze seemed to say, You can do this. Is anyone else home with you, Emma? The operator asked, her fingers already typing, dispatching emergency services to the address that had popped up on her screen. No, just me and Scout. Who's Scout? My dog. He's the one who knew something was wrong. He knew before I did. The operator made a note. Animals often sensed medical emergencies before humans could. Emma, I need you to check if your grandma is breathing. Can you get close to her face and tell me if you feel any air coming from her nose or mouth? Emma's legs felt like jelly as she walked back to her grandmother. The phone pressed so hard against her ear it hurt. She knelt down, Scout immediately positioning himself on the opposite side of Patricia, as if standing guard. Emma leaned close to her grandmother's face. I think so. It's really soft, but I feel something. That's good, Emma. That's very good. You're doing an amazing job. Now, I need you to do something very important. Can you check if your grandma's chest is moving up and down? Emma watched, her own chest tight with fear. Yes, a little bit. It's moving a little bit. Perfect. The paramedics are on their way, Emma. They'll be there in about 3 minutes. Can you unlock the front door so they can get in? That solves the immediate problem, but now there's a new one. I can't reach the lock, Emma whispered, shame flooding through her. I'm not tall enough. I've tried before. For a moment, the operator hesitated, calculating. Okay, that's okay. When you hear the sirens, I want you to go to the front window and wave so they know which house it is. Can you do that? Yes. Emma, I need you to stay on the phone with me until the paramedics get there. Can you do that for me and your grandma? Uh-huh. The next 2 minutes stretched into eternity. Emma sat cross-legged on the floor beside her grandmother, one hand resting on Patricia's arm, the other clutching the phone. Scout lay down with his head on Patricia's stomach, his eyes never leaving Emma's face. Tell me about Scout, the operator said, keeping the child engaged, preventing her from spiraling into panic. He's a Border Collie. We got him from the shelter 2 years ago. Mommy said he was really sad there, but when he saw me, his tail wagged and wagged. His voice trembled, but speaking about Scout helped. He's really smart. He can fetch my shoes and bring Daddy the newspaper, and... She paused, her voice catching. He sleeps in my room every night. He makes me feel safe. Scout lifted his head slightly, as if understanding every word. He sounds like a very special dog, Emma, and he's being such a good friend to you right now. He always is, Emma whispered. He knew Grandma needed help. He knew before I did. In the distance, a siren wailed. Scout's ears perked up. Emma, do you hear that? The operator asked.
Before we continue our story, thank you for being here. And alike,
always means a lot. Yes, those are the paramedics coming to help your grandma. Can you go to the front window now and wave to them? And Emma, you need to bring Scout with you so he doesn't get in the way when they come in, okay? Emma stood up, her legs still shaky. Scout, come! The Border Collie was at her side instantly, his body language protective and alert. She ran to the front window, pressing her face against the glass. The ambulance was turning onto their street, lights flashing red and blue. Emma waved both arms over her head, jumping up and down. Here! We're here! The ambulance pulled into the driveway. 2 paramedics jumped out, grabbing their equipment. Emma heard pounding on the front door. They're here! She shouted into the phone. Emma, you did such an amazing job. I'm going to let you go now, but I want you to remember you saved your grandma's life today. You and Scout, you're both heroes. Emma dropped the phone and ran to the front door, Scout beside her. I can't reach the lock, she called through the door, but there's a back door, through the gate. 1 paramedic ran around the side of the house, while the other, a woman with kind eyes, crouched down to Emma's level. Are you Emma? Yes, hurry, please. We're coming, sweetheart. You did everything right. Seconds later, Emma heard the sliding glass door open. She and Scout raced back to the kitchen. The paramedics were already kneeling beside Patricia, checking her vitals, asking each other questions in medical terminology Emma didn't understand. She's diabetic, she suddenly remembered, her voice small but clear. Grandma has diabetes. She has to check her blood with a little machine. She takes medicine every day. Both paramedics looked at Emma with renewed respect. That's very helpful information, honey, the woman said. Do you know where she keeps her medication? Emma pointed to a cabinet near the refrigerator. Up there, the orange bottles with the tops. The male paramedic retrieved the bottles while his partner worked on Patricia, checking her blood sugar with a portable meter. Hypoglycemic, he confirmed, blood sugar at 42. They moved with practiced efficiency, establishing an IV line, administering glucose. Emma stood pressed against the kitchen wall, Scout sitting at her feet, both of them watching with wide eyes. Within 40 seconds of receiving the glucose, Patricia's eyes fluttered open, confused, disoriented, but alive. Grandma! Emma burst forward, but the paramedic caught her gently. Give us just 1 more minute, sweetheart. Patricia's eyes found Emma's face. Emma? Her voice was weak, confused. What happened? You fell down, Grandma. You were asleep, and you wouldn't wake up. Scout knew. He barked, and then I called 911, just like the firefighter taught me. You called 911? Patricia tried to sit up, but the paramedics held her down. Ma'am, you need to stay still. You had a severe hypoglycemic episode. Do you remember eating lunch today? Patricia's face went pale. No, I was busy cleaning, and I thought I'd eat when Emma came in from playing. The paramedics exchanged knowing looks. A common story. Skip a meal, blood sugar drops dangerously low, loss of consciousness follows. Your granddaughter saved your life, the female paramedic said softly. She kept calm, called 911, gave the dispatcher important information, and even remembered to tell us about your diabetes. Patricia's eyes filled with tears. Emma! The paramedic finally allowed Emma to come closer. She fell to her knees beside her grandmother. Scout pushed his way in too, his tail wagging slowly, carefully. And this is Scout, Emma said, her hand on the dog's head. He's the real hero, Grandma. I was just playing, and he just knew you needed help.
Scout licked Patricia's hand, and the elderly woman laughed weakly. "Good boy," she whispered. "Such a good boy." But here's the twist nobody expected.
As they prepared to transport Patricia to the hospital, the male paramedic paused. He'd been watching Scout carefully, noting the dog's behavior, how he'd stayed calm, provided comfort to Emma, positioned himself protectively. "Emma," he said, crouching down, "has Scout ever done anything like this before? Acted strange before someone got sick?" Emma thought about it. "Well, one time when Mommy had a really bad headache, Scout wouldn't leave her alone. And another time, he barked at Grandma until she sat down, and then she said she felt dizzy." The paramedic nodded slowly. "Your dog might be what we call medically intuitive. Some dogs can sense when people are about to have medical episodes. They detect changes humans can't perceive." "You mean Scout is like a superhero?" Emma's eyes were wide. "Kind of, yeah. A superhero with fur." He pulled out his card. "When your parents get home, have them call me. There are programs that can certify dogs like Scout as medical alert dogs." When Maria arrived home 15 minutes later, she found Emma and Scout on the front steps. Maria dropped to her knees and pulled her daughter into a fierce hug, Scout wedged between them. "The paramedic said I saved Grandma's life," Emma said. "Me and Scout." "You did, baby. You absolutely did." Scout looked at the Border Collie. "Good boy, Scout. Good, good boy." At the hospital, Patricia was kept overnight. The doctors confirmed another 10 or 15 minutes without intervention, and the outcome could have been catastrophic. Emma's 911 call was recorded. Within a week, the local news got hold of the story. It went viral, not because of drama, but because it was real, a reminder that heroes come in all sizes. The Portland Fire Department invited Emma to a ceremony. She met the firefighter who taught her class. You paid attention, and it mattered. Scout got a vest marking him as a medical alert dog in training. With proper certification, Scout could continue watching over Patricia. But what mattered most happened every Tuesday afternoon. Grandma Pat would be there with snacks, Scout would be there tail wagging, and Emma would know that family means showing up in scary moments, that courage sometimes looks like a little girl with a phone and shaking hands, and that love sometimes wears a fur coat and saves lives. 3 months later, Emma and Scout spoke at her school's safety day. If something scary happens, you can call 911. The person on the phone will help you. And if you have a dog like Scout, he might help too. But mostly, don't be afraid to ask for help. Asking for help isn't being scared, it's being smart. Scout barked once, and the kids erupted in applause. That's the story of how Scout and Emma saved a grandmother's life on an ordinary Tuesday in Portland. No capes, no superpowers, just love, training, instinct, and the bond between a child and her dog. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible true stories. Comment below about your own hero pets, the animals who've made a difference in your lives. Every dog deserves to have their story told, and every act of courage deserves to be celebrated. Give your furry friends an extra hug today. They might be heroes too.